The morning shift bell rang across Nexus Station, and Mingy wiped sweat from her face. She had been moving cargo boxes for 6 hours straight. Her back hurt, her arms ached, and she still had 4 more hours to go. The metal boxes were heavy, each one weighing more than she did. But she needed the money. "Move faster, human," shouted her boss, a fat alien with purple skin and too many teeth. "These boxes need to be at Bay 7 in 1 hour." Mingy said nothing. She picked up another box and walked toward the loading dock. Around her, other workers moved cargo. Most were aliens. The few humans on the station worked the worst jobs for the least pay. Nobody complained. Jobs were hard to find. The cargo bay smelled like oil and burned metal. Ships came and went every hour, bringing goods from across the galaxy. Mingy had worked here for 3 months now. Every credit she earned went toward paying off her family's debt. Pirates had destroyed their cargo ship 6 months ago. The insurance company said it was not their fault. The bank still wanted their money. 27,000 credits left, Mingy whispered to herself as she set down another box. It was a lot of money. At this rate, she would need 2 more years to pay it all back. "Hey, look at this," someone called out behind her. Mingy turned around. A crowd was forming near the main entrance to the cargo bay. Aliens were pointing and laughing at something. She could hear angry voices getting louder. "I said move." The angry voice was speaking Galactic Standard, but with a Valerian accent. Valerians thought they were better than everyone else. Most of them were. Mingy walked closer to see what was happening. The crowd was getting bigger. She could see a young human man on the ground. His work clothes were torn, and his face was bleeding. Standing over him was the biggest Valerian she had ever seen. The Valerian was almost 3 meters tall. His skin looked like grey armor plating. 4 arms stretched from his wide shoulders. Each hand had claws that could cut through steel. This was not just any Valerian. The gold markings on his chest meant he was nobility. "Pathetic," the Valerian said, looking down at the human on the ground. "Your people cannot even walk without falling down." The human tried to stand up. "I did not see you there. I am sorry, sorry." The Valerian laughed. It sounded like rocks grinding together. "Sorry does not fix my torn cloak. Sorry does not remove your dirty handprint from my clothing." More aliens came to watch. They formed a circle around the Valerian and the human. Some were taking pictures. With their communication devices, others were making bets on what would happen next. "Please," the human said. "I will pay for cleaning your cloak. I did not mean to bump into you. Pay." The Valerian's laugh got louder. The crowd joined in. "What could a human possibly pay me with? Your entire species works for scraps. You live. Because we allow it." Mingy felt her hands make fists. She knew the human on the ground. His name was Jinwoo. He worked in the recycling center. He had a wife and 2 small children. He was a good man who worked hard and never bothered anyone. "Stand up," the Valerian commanded. Jinwoo stood up slowly. Blood dripped from his nose onto his work shirt. "Tell everyone what humans are," the Valerian said. His voice carried across the cargo bay. "Tell them how weak your people are." I cannot do that," Jinwoo said quietly. The Valerian grabbed Jinwoo by the shirt with 2 of his hands. He lifted the human off the ground like he weighed nothing. "Then I will tell them myself," the Valerian said. He turned to face the crowd. "Look at this creature. Look how soft its skin is. No claws, no armor, no natural weapons. Humans are the weakest species in the galaxy." The crowd cheered. Some aliens clapped their hands or tentacles or whatever they had. A few took more pictures. "Humans only exist because we feel sorry for them," the Valerian continued. "They come from a weak little planet and think they deserve respect, but they are nothing. They are prey animals pretending to be predators." "Stop," Mingy said. The word came out louder than she meant it to. The crowd turned to look at her. The Valerian's 4 eyes focused on her face. "What did you say, little human?" the Valerian asked. He dropped Jinwoo, who fell hard onto the metal floor. Minji walked into the circle. Her heart was beating fast, but her voice was steady. I said, "Stop, let him go." The Valerian stared at her for a long moment. Then he started laughing again. The crowd joined in, louder than before. "Another one?" the Valerian said. "Look, everyone. Another soft little human wants to play hero." He walked toward Minji. Each step made the metal floor shake. When he reached her, he looked down from his great height. Mingi had to tilt her head back to see his face. "Do you know who I am, little girl?" he asked. "No," Minji said. "And I do not care." The laughter stopped. The Valerian's expression changed. His four eyes narrowed. "I am Kong Tai-ho of the Valerian Imperium. I have fought in 20 arena battles and won them all. I have killed pirates and rebels and anyone else who dared to challenge Valerian honor." "Good for you," Minji said. Tai-ho's claws extended from his fingertips. They were as long as kitchen knives and twice as sharp. "You should be afraid," he said. "Why?" Minji asked. "Because you are big. Because you have claws. My planet has things bigger and more dangerous than you. We killed them all." The crowd was completely quiet now. Even the background noise of the cargo bay seemed to fade away. "Your planet," Tai-ho laughed, but it sounded forced. "Earth, that little water world. What could possibly be dangerous there?" "Everything," Mingi said. "Earth tried to kill us every single day for millions of years. We survived because we were stronger, smarter, and more stubborn than everything else." Tai-ho leaned down until his face was close to hers. His breath smelled like rotten meat. "Prove it," he said. "How?" "Fight me in the arena." "Tomorrow night." The crowd gasped. Someone in the back whispered, "She is crazy," in a language Minji did not recognize. "Fine," Minji said, without thinking. "I accept." Tai-ho straightened up, looking surprised. He had probably expected her to run away or beg for mercy. "Except?" he asked. "Yes, tomorrow night. In the arena, you and me." "This will be entertaining," Tai-ho said. He looked at the crowd. "Come and watch tomorrow night. See how easily I break this weak, little human. See what happens when prey thinks it can fight a predator." The crowd started talking excitedly. Mingi helped Jinwoo stand up. His nose had stopped bleeding, but his face was already starting to swell. "Thank you," he whispered to her. "But you should not have done that. He will kill you." "Maybe," Mingi said. "But at least he will have to work for it." As the crowd broke up, Mingi walked back to her cargo boxes. She had work to finish. Tomorrow night would come whether she was ready or not. But for the first time in months, she was not thinking about debt or money or how tired she was. She was thinking about hunting. News traveled fast on Nexus Station. By the time Mingi finished her work shift, everyone knew about the challenge. Aliens stopped talking when she walked past them. Some pointed at her and whispered. Others just stared. The betting started within an hour, 50-1, against the human called out Vrex, a three-eyed Zephyrian, who ran the gambling operation near the food courts, who wants easy money. A crowd of aliens gathered around his booth. They were all betting on Tai-ho. Nobody wanted to bet on Mingi. The odds kept getting worse. 60-1, 70-1, 100-1. Minji walked past the betting booth without looking. She had more important things to worry about than alien gambling. Her small room was in the station's lower levels, where rent was cheap, and the air recyclers worked badly. The walls were thin metal sheets that shook when big ships docked above. But it was home. Mingi sat on her narrow bed and looked at her hands. They were small compared to Tai-ho's claws. Her arms were thin from working long hours and eating cheap food. She was not big or strong or scary looking. "What did I just do?" she whispered to herself. A soft knock came at her door. Minji opened it to find Do-yoon standing in the hallway. He was 22 years old, just 2 years older than her. He worked as a mechanic in the ship repair bays. His clothes always smelled like engine oil and metal polish. "Can I come in?" he asked. Minji stepped aside to let him enter. Do-yeon looked around her tiny room, then sat down in the only chair. Everyone is talking about tomorrow night, he said. I know. The betting odds are crazy. Some aliens are putting their entire savings on Taiho. Good for them. Do-yeon leaned forward in his chair. Mingi, you cannot do this. Taiho has killed people in the arena before, real fighters, trained warriors. I know that too. Then why did you challenge him? Minji sat down on her bed and looked at the floor. I could not just stand there and watch. Jinwoo did nothing wrong. That alien was hurting him just because he could. So you decided to get yourself killed instead. Maybe. I will not die. Maybe. Do-yeon stood up quickly. Maybe is not good enough. This is your life we are talking about. Before Minji could answer, another knock came at the door. This time, it was Somin, an older human woman who worked in the engineering section. She was 45 years old and had been on the station longer than any other human. Hello, child, Somin said as she entered the room. She looked at Do-yeon and nodded. Hello, Do-yeon. Tell her she is being stupid, Do-yeon said. Tell her to give up this crazy idea. Somin sat down on the bed next to Minji. Is that what you want me to say? Everyone thinks I should quit, Minji said. Everyone is scared, Somin replied. Scared people say scared things. You think she should fight? Do-yeon asked. I think. She already made her choice, Somin said. Now we help her prepare. Prepare? Do-yeon laughed, but it was not a happy sound. Prepare for what? To die quickly, instead of slowly. Somin looked at him with calm eyes. Do-yeon, how much do you know about Earth? What do you mean? Real Earth, not the tourist videos or the pretty pictures they show in schools. Do you know what Earth was like before humans built cities? Do-yeon shrugged. It was dangerous, I guess. Wild animals and stuff. Wild animals and stuff, Somin repeated. Child Earth was a nightmare world. Everything that lived there was trying to kill everything else. The plants were poisonous. The weather could freeze you or cook you. Diseases killed more humans than wars ever did. So humans did not just survive on Earth, we conquered it. We took a planet that was trying to kill us every single day, and we made it our home. We became the most dangerous thing on the most dangerous world anyone had ever seen. Minji looked up at Somin. But I am not dangerous. I am just a cargo worker. Are you? Somin asked. When you were a child on Earth, did you ever go hunting with your family? Yes, my father taught me to track deer in the mountains. Did you ever catch anything? A few rabbits? Some birds? Once I tracked a wounded deer for 3 days through the snow. 3 days, Somin said. Most predators give up after a few hours, but humans do not give up. We follow our prey until they are too tired to run anymore. Then we kill them. Do-yeon was quiet now, listening. Taiho thinks this will be a fight, Somin continued. He thinks he will use his claws and his strength to beat you quickly. But you do not have to fight him the way he expects. What do you mean? I mean you are a human. Humans do not win by being the biggest or the strongest. We win by being smarter, by being patient, by never giving up. Somin stood up and walked to the small window in Minji's room. Outside, she could see the lights of the station's upper levels where the rich aliens lived. My grandmother told me stories about the old days on Earth, she said. About how humans used to hunt mammoths. Do you know what a mammoth was? Big animals with long teeth. Very big. Bigger than Taiho, stronger too. They had thick skin, like armor and tusks that could split trees in half. But humans killed them anyway. How? By working together, by being patient, by using tools and traps and thinking ahead. The mammoths were stronger, but humans were smarter. Somin turned back to face Mingi. Tomorrow night, you will not be fighting a mammoth. You will be fighting something much easier to kill. Taiho is not easy to kill, Do-yeon said. He is arrogant, Somin replied. Arrogance makes people stupid. Stupid people make mistakes. And mistakes get you killed. The three of them talked for Another hour. Soman told more stories about Earth and the things humans had survived. Doyan slowly stopped arguing and started listening. By the time they left, Minji felt a little better, but she still could not sleep. She spent the night thinking about the challenge. In 12 hours, she would be in the arena with Taiho. The whole station would be watching. If she lost, it would not just be her death, it would prove what aliens already believed about humans. At dawn, she got up and went to the observation deck on level 15. Through the big windows, she could see space and the distant stars. Somewhere out there was Earth. Home? I will not let you down, she whispered to the stars. Behind her, the station was waking up. Aliens were starting their morning routines. Soon, everyone would be talking about the fight again. The betting would get heavier. The crowds would get bigger, but for now, it was just Minji and the stars and the promise she had made. She walked back to her room and started getting ready. Tonight, she would show the galaxy what a human could do when they had nothing left to lose. Meanwhile, 3 levels up, Taiho was doing practice fights in the public training area. A crowd of aliens watched him break training dummies with his bare hands. Each punch shattered metal like glass. This will be over in minutes, he announced. To the crowd, the human will beg for mercy before I even break her bones. The aliens cheered. The betting odds went up again. But if they had looked carefully, they might have noticed something strange. Taiho was sweating more than usual. His attacks were wilder, less controlled. He kept looking toward the lower levels of the station, where the humans lived. For the first time in his life, Kong Taiho was not completely sure he would win a fight. And that scared him more than he wanted to admit. The arena was built into the center of Nexus Station. It was huge, big enough to hold 10,000 aliens. Tonight, every seat was full. More aliens stood in the walkways and pressed against the barriers. Some had paid extra credits just to get inside. The noise was incredible. Thousands of voices speaking in dozens of languages all mixed together. Some aliens were still making bets. Others were drinking and eating. Everyone was excited. Above the crowd, massive screens showed replays of Taiho's previous fights. In one video, he tore the arms off a Craxian warrior. In another, he crushed a Thelian fighter's skull with his bare hands. The crowd cheered every time they saw blood. Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of all species. The announcer's voice boomed through the arena speakers. Welcome to the most talked about fight in Nexus Station history. More cheering. The sound was so loud, it made the metal walls shake. Hyun-woo stood in the fighter preparation area below the arena floor. He was 58 years old and had run arena fights for 15 years. He had seen thousands of battles. He had watched fighters die in every way possible, but tonight felt different. This is wrong, he said to his assistant, a young Korthon with green skin and too many arms. The human girl will be slaughtered. The crowd wants to see it, the assistant replied. Ticket sales broke records. The betting pools have more money than we have ever seen. That does not make it right. Since when do you care about right and wrong? You run death matches for entertainment. Hyun-woo said nothing. The assistant was correct. He had stopped caring about fighters' lives long ago. But something about this fight bothered him. Maybe it was because the human girl reminded him of his own daughter back on Earth. In the fighter's waiting room, Minji sat alone on a metal bench. She wore simple protective gear, a chest plate, arm guards, and leg padding. All of it was borrowed from other human workers on the station. None of it fit properly. Her weapons lay on the bench beside her, a plasma knife, a shock stick, and a small pulse pistol. Standard arena equipment, nothing special. The door opened, and Soman walked in. How do you feel? The older woman asked. Scared, Minji said honestly. Good fear keeps you alive, but do not let it control you. There are so many aliens out there. They all want to see me die. They want to see a show, Soman said. Give them one, they will never forget. Through the walls, they could hear the crowd getting louder. Someone was chanting Taiho's name. Soon, thousands of voices joined in Taiho, Taiho, Taiho. Remember what I told you, Soman said. He expects you to fight like him. Big, and loud, and stupid. But you are human. You are a hunter. Hunters are patient. What if I am not good enough? Then you die with honor. But I do not think you will die tonight. Why not? Somin smiled. Because I saw how you looked at him yesterday, like he was already dead. That is not the look of prey. That is the look of a predator. Before Minji could respond, the door opened again. This time, it was a station guard. Time to go, the guard said. Minji picked up her weapons and followed the guard down a long corridor. The sound of the crowd got louder with each step. At the end of the corridor was a metal gate that led to the arena floor. First fighter entering the arena, the announcer called out. From the Valerian Imperium, winner of 20 consecutive battles, the terror of the Outer Rim, Kong, Taiho. The crowd exploded with noise. Through the gate, Mingi could see walking onto the arena floor. He was even bigger than she remembered. His forearms were spread wide, showing off his claws. His gray skin looked like metal armor in the bright lights. He walked around the arena, letting the crowd cheer for him. Some aliens threw flowers. Others waved banners with his name. Children held up drawings of him winning fights. Kill the human. Someone shouted from the crowd. Make it quick, yelled another. Break her bones. Taiho stopped in the center of the arena and raised all 4 arms above his head. The crowd's roar was deafening. And now, the announcer said, his opponent, a human from Earth, making her arena debut, Minji. The gate opened. Minji walked out into the light. The noise changed. Instead of cheers, she heard boos and laughter. Some aliens threw garbage at her feet. Others made rude gestures with whatever body parts they had. Look how small she is. This will not even be a fight. I want my money back. Minji walked to the center of the arena, ignoring the crowd. The arena floor was covered with sand that had been stained red from countless previous battles. The walls were 20 meters high, topped with energy barriers to keep fighters from escaping. Taiho looked down at her from his great height. Up close, his claws looked even more dangerous. Each one was as long as her hand and sharp enough to cut through metal. Last chance, little human, he said, his voice carrying across the arena. Surrender now, and I will kill you quickly. No, Minji said. What? I said no. The crowd quieted down, straining to hear what the fighters were saying. Cannot win, Taiho said. I am stronger, faster, and more experienced. I have killed dozens of fighters better than you, maybe, Minji said. But they were not human. Taiho laughed. Human. You think being human makes you special. Humans are the weakest species in the galaxy. The crowd laughed with him. The sound echoed off the arena walls. We will see, Minji said quietly. Heinwu's voice came over the arena speakers. Fighters, prepare for combat. Rules are simple. Fight until one surrenders, falls unconscious, or dies. No weapons except what has been provided. No outside assistance. He paused, looking down at both fighters. Begin when the horn sounds. The arena fell silent. 10,000 aliens held their breath. Somewhere in the crowd, a child started crying. Crouched down into a fighting stance. His claws extended to their full length. His muscles tensed like steel cables. Everything about him screamed danger and death. Minji stood perfectly still. Her breathing was slow and steady. Her eyes never left Taiho's face. She looked small and fragile compared to the Valerian warrior, but something was different about her. Now, the scared cargo worker was gone. In her place stood something older, something that had survived on the deadliest planet in the galaxy for millions of years. The horn sounded. Taiho charged forward like a living missile, his claws reaching for Minji's throat. The crowd screamed with excitement, but when the dust settled from his attack, Minji was not there. She had moved to the side at the last second, faster than most aliens could follow. Taiho's claws hit nothing but air and sand. The crowd's cheering faltered. This was not how the fight was supposed to start. Stand still and fight. Taiho roared, spinning around to face her. Make me, Minji said. She was smiling now. Not a happy smile, but the smile of something that had just smelled blood. In the water, the hunt had begun. Taiho attacked again, swinging all 4 arms at once. His claws cut through the air where Minji had been standing. But she was already gone, moving like water around his strikes. The crowd was confused. This was not how arena fights usually went. Most fighters stood their ground and traded blows until one of them fell down. But the human girl kept moving, never staying in one place for more than a second. Fight me, Taiho screamed. He spun around, looking for her. Stop running like a coward. I am not running, Minji said from behind him. I am hunting. Before he could turn around, she struck her plasma knife cut across the back of his leg, slicing through the gap between his armor plates. It was not a deep cut, but it drew blood. Taiho roared in pain and anger. He swung his arms backward, trying to catch her, but Minji was already moving again, staying just out of reach. The crowd was getting restless. They had come to see a quick, brutal fight. Instead, they were watching the human girl dance around their champion like a ghost. This is boring, someone yelled. Kill her already, shouted another, but some aliens were starting to pay closer attention. They noticed how Mingi moved. She was not running randomly. Every step had a purpose. Every dodge took her to a better position. She is studying him, said an old Thelian in the premium seats. Look at her eyes. She is learning his patterns. His companion, a wealthy Craxian merchant, laughed. Learning she is just scared to fight. This will be over soon. Back on the arena floor, Taiho was getting frustrated. He had never fought anyone who moved like this. Most opponents tried to match his strength with their own. But the human was different. She attacked and vanished before he could respond. Stand still, he demanded. He charged at her again, his 4 arms reaching out like grabbing tentacles. Mingi waited until the last possible moment, then dropped to the ground and rolled between his legs. As she passed underneath him, her shock stick touched his ankle. Electric energy crackled through his nervous system. Taiho stumbled and nearly fell. The crowd gasped. Their champion was supposed to be untouchable, but the small human had hit him twice now. Lucky shots, Taiho growled. He turned to face her again. His leg was bleeding, and his ankle hurt from the shock. But he was far from beaten. Nothing lucky about it, Minji said. She was breathing hard, but her voice was calm. I hit exactly where I aimed. For the first time since the fight began, doubt crept into Taiho's mind. He had fought many opponents, but none of them had been this precise. Every attack the human made was aimed at weak spots in his armor or joints in his body. You cannot keep running forever, he said. I am not trying to run forever, Mingi replied. Just long enough. Long enough for what? She smiled, that predator's smile again. For you to get tired. Taiho felt a chill run down his spine. He was bigger and stronger than the human, but size and strength used up energy fast. He had already been fighting for 10 minutes, swinging his heavy arms and chasing her around the arena, and she was right. He was getting tired. The crowd was starting to notice too. Some of the cheering had stopped. Aliens were looking at each other with worried expressions. This was not going the way it was supposed to go. In the fighter preparation area, Hyunwoo watched the battle on a monitor. His assistant stood beside him, looking nervous. She is actually fighting him, the assistant said. I thought she would be dead by now. She is not fighting him, Hyunwoo replied. She is wearing him down. Like a pack hunter. On Earth, humans used to hunt animals much larger than themselves. But they did not attack directly. They followed their prey for days, never letting them rest, never letting them eat or drink. Eventually, the prey would collapse from exhaustion. Then the humans would move in for the kill. The assistant looked at the monitor again. On screen, Mingi was still dodging Taiho's attacks. But now she was counterattacking more often. A cut here, a shock there. Always hitting and moving before he could respond. But there is only one of her, the assistant said. She does not need A pack, Hunwoo said. She is the whole pack. Back in the arena, Taiho was breathing heavily. Sweat ran down his grey skin. His movements were getting slower and less coordinated. The human had cut him 12 times now, small wounds that bled and hurt and made him angry. But anger was making him sloppy. Hold still, he screamed, swinging wildly with all 4 arms. Minji ducked under his attack and came up behind him. This time, instead of cutting and running, she grabbed onto his back armor with one hand. With the other hand, she drove her plasma knife into the joint where his upper left arm connected to his shoulder. Taiho screamed. The knife went deep, cutting through muscle and nerve. His upper left arm went numb and dropped to his side, useless. The crowd was silent now. Their champion was hurt, really hurt. Blood was running down his arm and dripping onto the arena floor. Impossible, whispered the Craxian merchant in the premium seats. She took out one of his arms. The old Thelian said, "Now the fight is more even." Taiho tried to grab Minji with his remaining 3 arms, but she was already moving again. Loss of one arm had thrown off his balance. He stumbled and nearly fell. 3 arms left, Mingi said, circling him like a shark around wounded prey. How many do you really need? I will kill you, Taiho roared, but his voice cracked. For the first time in his life, he was afraid. You had your chance, Mingi said. Now, it is my turn. She attacked again, faster than before. Her movements were no longer defensive. She had studied him, learned his patterns, and found his weaknesses. Now she was moving in for the kill. Taiho tried to defend himself, but he was too tired and too hurt. Every swing of his arms was slower than the last. Every step was unsteady. Minji's shock stick hit his right knee. His leg buckled, and he dropped to one knee on the arena floor. The crowd was completely silent now. They had come to see their champion destroy a weak human. Instead, they were watching their champion being destroyed by that same human. Please, Taiho whispered. His voice was so quiet that only Minji could hear it. I surrender. What did you say? Minji asked. I surrender. Please, stop. Minji looked up at the crowd. 10,000 aliens stared back at her. She could see the shock in their faces. They had never imagined this could happen. Louder, she said. Surrender, Taiho screamed. I give up. The human wins. But Minji was not done yet. She had not forgotten why this fight started. She had not forgotten Jinwoo bleeding on the cargo bay floor. She had not forgotten all the times aliens had called humans weak. Too late, she said. Her hand shot out and grabbed the front of Taiho's chest armor. The crowd heard a sharp cracking sound as her fingers dug into the gaps between his armor plates. Datehos' eyes went wide with terror. He could feel her small human fingers pressing against his ribs. He could feel how strong they were. Please, he whispered one more time. This is what happens, Minji said, her voice carrying across the silent arena, when you call humans weak. She pulled. The sound of breaking bone echoed through the arena like thunder. The sound of cracking bone filled the arena. Taiho screamed as Minji's fingers broke through his chest armor and grabbed his ribs underneath. Her small human hand, which had looked so weak compared to his claws, was now strong enough to tear. Through Valerian bone, she pulled harder. More cracks echoed through the silent arena. Taiho's scream turned into a gurgle as blood filled his mouth. Then, with a final wet tearing sound, a section of his ribcage came free. Minji stood up slowly, holding the piece of bone and armor in her hand. It was the size of a dinner plate, covered in purple blood and broken fragments. Taiho collapsed to the arena floor, unconscious but still breathing. For a moment, nobody moved. 10,000 aliens stared at the small human girl standing over their fallen champion. In her hand, she held proof that everything they believed about humans was wrong. Then Minji raised the ribcage above her head. We are not weak, she said. Her voice was quiet, but somehow, everyone in the arena could hear it. We are not prey. We are the children of Earth, and Earth does not raise victims. The silence stretched on. No one cheered. No one booed. They were all too shocked to make any sound at all. Hyunwoo's voice came over the arena speakers, shaky and uncertain. Winner, by combat victory, Minji of Earth. Still, the crowd said nothing. Medical teams rushed onto the arena floor. They surrounded Taiho, checking his wounds and loading him onto a stretcher. Green medical gel covered his chest where his ribs used to be. His breathing was weak but steady. Will he live? One of the doctors asked. Yes, replied the head medic, a six-armed Korthon with extensive surgical experience. But he will never fight again. She broke 7 ribs and damaged his primary lung. He is lucky to be alive. They carried Taiho away on the stretcher. As they passed Mingi, his eyes opened for a moment. He looked at her with a mixture of fear and respect. How, he whispered. Practice, Mingi said simply. When the medical team was gone, Mingi walked around the arena one time. She still carried Taiho's ribcage in her hand like a trophy. Some aliens in the crowd shrank back as she passed. Beneath them, others stared in fascination. Near the premium seating, she stopped and looked up at the wealthy aliens who had been so sure she would lose. Anyone else want to call humans weak? She asked loudly. No one answered. Mingi walked toward the exit gate. As she passed the announcer's booth, Hyunwoo stepped out to meet her. That was, double quotes, he started, then stopped. He could not find the right words. That was what it looks like when you underestimate a human, Minji said. I have been running arena fights for 15 years, Hyunwoo said. I have never seen anything like that. Now you have. The way you fought, it was not like other species. You did not try to overpower him. You just, wore him down. That is how humans hunt, Minji said. We are not the biggest or the strongest. But we never give up. We follow our prey until they cannot run anymore. Then we kill them. Hyunwoo nodded slowly. I understand now. The crowd came to see a fight. But they got to see something much more dangerous. What is that? A lesson. As Mingi walked through the exit gate, the crowd finally started to make noise again. But it was not cheering or booing. It was the sound of thousands of conversations starting at once. Aliens were talking to each other in excited, nervous voices. Did you see how she moved? She planned every attack. I lost a fortune betting against her. Humans are not what we thought they were. Word of the fight spread through Nexus Station faster than a computer virus. Within an hour, everyone knew what had happened. The human girl had not just won, she had dominated one of the galaxy's most feared warriors. The betting pools were in chaos. Vrex, the Zephyrian bookie, was surrounded by angry aliens demanding their money back. But the rules were clear, all bets were final. This is impossible, screamed a Thelian merchant who had bet his entire savings on Taiho. Humans cannot fight like that. Apparently they can, Vrex replied. Counting his unexpected profits, in the lower levels of the station, the human workers were celebrating. Word had reached them quickly, and they gathered in Summon's workshop to hear the details. She really did it? Asked Jinwoo. His face was still swollen from Taiho's attack, but he was smiling. She ripped out his ribs, Doyeon said, grinning. With her bare hands. I saw the whole thing on the monitor. Where is she now? Somin asked. Collecting her prize money, Doyeon replied. The arena pays out based on betting odds. Since everyone bet against her, she just became very rich. Indeed, Mingi was in the arena's financial office, watching credits transfer into her account. The final amount was staggering, 2.8 million credits. More than enough to pay off her family's debt and buy passage back to Earth. This is the largest single payout in arena history, the financial officer said. He was a nervous Zephyrian who kept looking at the piece of ribcage Mingi still carried. Are you sure you want it all transferred to your personal account? Yes, Mingi said. And the ... trophy. The officer pointed at the ribcage. Will you be keeping that? Yes, very well. Your transport to Earth has been arranged. The ship leaves tomorrow morning. Mingi left the arena and walked back to her room in the lower levels. But the corridors were different now. When aliens saw her coming, they stepped aside and made room. Some bowed their heads slightly as she passed. Others just stared. No one laughed at her anymore. In her room, she found Soman Doyon and several other human workers waiting for her. "How does it feel to be famous?" Soman asked. "Strange," Minji said. "This morning I was just a cargo worker. Tonight I am something else." "You are a reminder," Soman said. "A reminder of what humans really are. What are we really? Survivors. Hunters. The most dangerous species on the most dangerous planet anyone has ever found." That night, Mingi packed her few belongings. She mounted Taiho's ribcage on her wall where everyone could see it. Tomorrow, she would leave Nexus Station and return to Earth, but the message would stay behind. The next morning, aliens throughout the station woke up to find graffiti painted on walls throughout the lower levels. The same message, repeated in dozens of languages. Earth remembers, humans hunt. By the time Minji's transport ship left the station, the story had spread to 3 different solar systems. Videos of the fight were being shared across the galaxy's communication networks. Aliens who had never heard of humans before were suddenly very interested in learning more about them. In the weeks that followed, the way aliens treated humans began to change. Jobs that had been closed to humans suddenly opened up. Wages increased. Respect, slowly but surely, began to replace pity. And in arenas across the galaxy, fighters learned a new rule: never underestimate a human, because humans were not weak, they were not prey. They were the children of Earth, and Earth does not raise victims. 6 months later, Taiho returned to his homeworld. His chest was covered in scars, and he walked with a limp. When other Valerians asked him about his injuries, he would tell them about the human girl who had taught him what real strength looked like. She was so small, he would say, but she fought like death itself. And when young Valerian warriors boasted about their strength and talked about conquering other species, Taiho would show them the video of his fight. "Watch," he would tell them, "learn, and remember, humans are not what they seem to be." The lesson spread. Slowly, carefully, but it spread. And across the galaxy, humans walked a little taller, knowing that one of their own had shown the universe what they were really made of. The age of being underestimated was over. The age of respect had begun.